Personal Selling and Salesmanship. Session 1. The subject we are covering is BCOS 186. Its full name is Personal Selling and Salesmanship. It is part of your Bachelor of Arts in Education program at Indira Gandhi National Open University. Now the name might make you think this is a commerce subject for sales executives. And in one sense, yes, it is. But here is what I want you to see immediately. Selling is human. Every pastor who has ever stood at a pulpit and persuaded a congregation to receive the gospel is engaged in the most powerful form of personal selling in existence. Every counseling session you have led is a form of consultative selling. Every time you motivated someone, cast vision, or built a relationship of trust, you were doing what this textbook calls personal selling. So you are not a stranger to this material. You simply do not yet know the academic vocabulary. We are going to fix that completely right now. Here is the roadmap of what we will cover. The syllabus of BCOS 186 is organized into 5 major blocks. Block 1 covers the introduction to personal selling and salesmanship. Block 2 covers the selling process in detail. Block 3 covers consumer behavior and buying motives. Block 4 covers sales communication and presentation. Block 5 covers sales management and professional development. I will walk you through every single one of those blocks with full explanations, examination-ready definitions, model answers, memory anchors, and exam strategy. By the end of this script, you will not just understand this subject. You will command it. Here is how to use the script for maximum results. Listen to it once all the way through without stopping. Just absorb the flow. Then listen to specific sessions based on what feels least familiar. In the final hours before your examination, go straight to the last session, which is your war room revision. That session will fire every memory anchor in your brain and send you into the hall ready. Now take a breath. We begin. Session 2, Block 1 Introduction to Personal Selling and Salesmanship. What is personal selling? Personal selling is a form of direct communication between a seller and a potential buyer, where the seller presents a product or service with the goal of persuading the buyer to make a purchase. Unlike advertising, which speaks to thousands of people at once through a screen or a billboard, personal selling is a one-on-one, face-to-face, or voice-to-voice interaction. It is personalized. It is responsive. It adapts to the individual buyer in real time. Let me give you the examination-ready definition right now. Personal selling is defined as the oral presentation of a product or service in a conversation with one or more prospective purchasers, conducted for the purpose of making a sale. That definition comes from the American Marketing Association, and it is the one your examiner recognizes. Write it exactly as I have given it. Think of personal selling as a private conversation that ends in a decision. The key word is personal. It is not mass. It is not impersonal. It is you and the buyer, in real time, building enough trust and understanding that the buyer says yes. Nature and characteristics of personal selling. Personal selling has several defining characteristics, and you need to know all of them because the examiner often asks you to explain the nature of personal selling. Let us walk through them one by one in a way you can remember. First, personal selling is a two-way communication process. Unlike an advertisement that broadcasts a message in one direction, personal selling allows both the seller and the buyer to communicate, respond, question, and clarify. This two-way flow is what makes personal selling uniquely powerful. Second, personal selling involves direct personal contact. Whether it is face-to-face in a showroom or over the telephone, there is a personal connection between two human beings. This is not a machine speaking. It is a human being representing a product or service. Third, personal selling is flexible. Because the salesperson can see or hear the customer's reactions in real time, they can immediately adjust their approach, change their language, offer different examples, or address objections as they arise. Fourth, personal selling is immediate. A transaction, or at least a commitment toward one, can happen during the conversation itself. There is no waiting period the way there is with an advertisement that someone might see today but act on a week later. Fifth, personal selling builds relationships. Over time, a skilled salesperson does not just sell products. They build trust, loyalty, and long-term partnerships with customers. This is what modern sales theory calls relationship selling. Memory anchor for 5 characteristics. Use your 5 fingers. Thumb means two-way communication. Index finger means direct personal contact. Middle finger means flexibility. Ring finger means immediacy. Little finger means relationship building. Touch each finger and say the word. Do it 3 times right now as you listen. Two-way. Direct. Flexible. Immediate. Relationship. Importance of personal selling. Why does personal selling matter? The examiner frequently asks this as a short answer or as part of a longer question. Here is what you need to say. Personal selling matters because it creates customized persuasion that mass media cannot provide. When a person walks into a store and speaks to a sales representative, that representative can discover exactly what this specific customer needs, what their budget is, what their hesitations are, and what would make them feel confident about their decision. No billboard or television advertisement can do that. Personal selling also matters because it generates immediate feedback. A company running an advertising campaign might wait weeks to see if sales increase. A salesperson knows within the conversation whether the customer is interested or not. Furthermore, personal selling is crucial for complex or high-value products. When someone is buying a piece of industrial machinery, a life insurance policy, a commercial property, or a medical device, that decision requires detailed explanation, trust, and personal assurance. These products cannot be sold effectively through impersonal mass communication. They require a human being who understands the product deeply and can answer questions in real time. Salesmanship, meaning and definition. Salesmanship is a broader concept than personal selling. While personal selling refers to the activity of selling through direct contact, salesmanship refers to the skill, the art, and the ability that makes that selling effective. The examination-ready definition of salesmanship is this: salesmanship is the ability to persuade people to buy goods and services at a profit to the seller, and with benefit to the buyer. Notice both parts of that definition. Profit to the seller and benefit to the buyer. This is critical because salesmanship is not manipulation. It is not tricking someone into buying what they do not need. Good salesmanship happens when both parties gain from the transaction. Examiner focus: many students write about salesmanship only from the seller's perspective. The examiner wants to see that you understand it as a mutually beneficial process. Mention benefit to the buyer explicitly. Art and science of salesmanship. The examiner often asks whether salesmanship is an art or a science. The correct answer is that it is both, and you need to explain why. Salesmanship is an art because it requires human qualities that cannot be fully learned from a textbook. These include empathy, intuition, the ability to read a person's emotional state, and the natural warmth that makes customers feel comfortable. These are artistic qualities, developed through practice, observation, and experience. At the same time, salesmanship is a science because it is based on systematic principles, processes, and techniques that can be studied, taught, and applied methodically. The selling process follows identifiable steps. Buyer behavior follows predictable psychological patterns. Objections can be categorized and responded to with tested techniques. This systematic, repeatable, learnable structure is what makes salesmanship a science. Art plus science equals salesmanship. Art is the human heart. Science is the systematic head. A great salesperson has both heart and head working together. Remember this image: one hand on your heart for art, one hand on your head for science. Salesmanship uses both. Qualities of a good salesperson. This is one of the most frequently asked topics in examinations. The question usually appears as, what are the essential qualities of a good salesperson? Write at least 5 points. Here they are, with explanation you can reproduce in your answer. First, knowledge. A good salesperson must have thorough knowledge of their product, their company, their competitors, and their customers. Without product knowledge, a salesperson cannot answer questions confidently or demonstrate value clearly. Second, communication skills. A good salesperson must be able to speak clearly, listen actively, and express ideas in a way the customer understands. Communication also includes nonverbal signals, posture, eye contact, and tone of voice. Third, empathy. A good salesperson genuinely understands and cares about the customer's needs, feelings, and situation. Empathy allows the salesperson to connect on a human level and to offer solutions that truly fit the customer's reality. Fourth, perseverance. Rejection is a daily reality in sales. A good salesperson does not give up after a no. They understand that persistence, done respectfully and professionally, is what converts hesitation into decision. Fifth, honesty and integrity. Long-term selling success is built on trust. A salesperson who misrepresents a product or makes false promises might make a sale today but destroys the relationship and the reputation of the company tomorrow. Sixth, enthusiasm. A salesperson who is genuinely passionate about their product communicates that energy to the customer. Enthusiasm is contagious and persuasive in ways that even the best arguments cannot fully replicate. Use the acronym KCEPHE. Knowledge, communication, empathy, perseverance, honesty, enthusiasm. Say it aloud: K, C, E, P, H, E. Then say the full words: knowledge, communication, empathy, perseverance, honesty, enthusiasm. That is your 6-quality checklist. Session 3, Block 2: The Selling Process. This is the most important block in the entire subject. If you understand the selling process thoroughly, you can answer at least 40% of any examination paper in this subject. The selling process is a step-by-step sequence that a professional salesperson follows from the moment they identify a potential customer to the moment the sale is completed. Let us walk through every step in full. Step 1, Prospecting. Prospecting is the process of identifying and locating potential customers who have both the need for your product and the ability to pay for it. These potential customers are called prospects. Not every person you meet is a prospect. A prospect must have 3 things. First, a need or desire for the product. Second, the financial ability to purchase it. Third, the authority to make the buying decision. Someone who wants to buy a car but has no money is not a prospect. Someone who has money but no desire for the car is not a prospect. Someone who has desire and money but must get approval from a committee is a partial prospect. Methods of prospecting include cold calling, referrals from existing customers, social media prospecting, networking at industry events, and working through databases or directories. In modern salesmanship, referral prospecting is considered the most effective method because a warm introduction from a trusted contact dramatically increases the chance of a sale. Step 2. Pre-approach. Before the salesperson actually meets the prospect, they spend time preparing. This preparation stage is called the pre-approach. It involves researching the prospect's background, understanding their business or personal situation, anticipating the questions they are likely to ask, and planning how to open the conversation. Pre-approach also includes logistical preparation. The salesperson should know where the meeting will happen, how much time they have, and what materials they need to bring. A salesperson who walks into a meeting unprepared sends an immediate signal of disrespect and incompetence. Exam point: many students confuse prospecting with pre-approach. Prospecting is about finding who to sell to. Pre-approach is about preparing to meet that specific person. Keep them distinct in your answer. Step 3. Approach. The approach is the first face-to-face or direct contact with the prospect. This is the opening of the actual selling interaction. The first impression formed during the approach can determine the entire direction of the conversation. There are several methods of approach. The product approach involves showing the product immediately to capture interest. The benefit approach involves opening with a statement about how the product will benefit the prospect specifically. The referral approach involves mentioning the name of someone the prospect trusts who recommended the meeting. The question approach involves asking an opening question that gets the prospect thinking about a problem your product can solve. Regardless of the method, the approach should be warm, professional, and focused on the prospect's interests rather than on the product itself. Step 4. Presentation and demonstration. The presentation is the heart of the selling process. This is where the salesperson presents the product or service in a way that connects its features to the prospect's specific needs and desires. Effective presentations follow what salesmanship theory calls the IGNOU model. IGNOU stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. The salesperson first captures the prospect's attention, then builds their interest in the product, then creates a desire to own or experience it, and finally prompts them toward action, which means making the purchase. IGNOU is easy to remember. Think of the famous opera Aida. When that curtain rises, the audience's attention is captured. Their interest grows with the story. Desire builds as the drama unfolds. And action happens when they give a standing ovation. Attention, interest, desire, action. Demonstration is a powerful part of presentation. Showing the product in action, allowing the prospect to touch it, use it, or experience it, creates conviction that words alone cannot create. A customer who has personally experienced a product is far more likely to buy it. Step 5. Handling objections. An objection is a concern, hesitation, or reason given by a prospect for not proceeding with a purchase. The amateur salesperson fears objections. The professional salesperson welcomes them, because an objection means the prospect is engaged enough to respond. Objections generally fall into several categories. Price objections are statements like "this is too expensive." Product objections are doubts about whether the product will actually work. Need objections are statements like "I do not actually need this." Source objections are concerns about the company's reputation or reliability. Timing objections are statements like "I will think about it" or "maybe next month." The professional approach to objections follows 4 steps. First, listen completely without interrupting. Second, acknowledge the objection to show the prospect they have been heard. Third, clarify by asking a question to make sure you understand the real concern. Fourth, respond with accurate, relevant information that addresses that specific concern. And fifth, confirm that the response has satisfied the prospect. Handle objections with the word "lacquerk." Listen. Acknowledge. Clarify. Respond. Confirm. Say it, "lacquerk." That is your 5-step objection handling system. Step 6, closing the sale. Closing is the step where the salesperson asks the prospect to make a decision and commit to the purchase. This is the step that many inexperienced salespeople fail to execute well, either because they never ask directly or because they ask at the wrong moment. There are several closing techniques. The trial close is a question that tests readiness without full commitment, such as asking which delivery date would work better for you. The assumptive close proceeds as though the decision has already been made, saying something like "I will arrange delivery for Friday." The summary close recaps all the benefits and then asks for the decision. The urgency close creates a sense of limited time or availability. The examiner expects you to know at least 3 closing techniques by name with a brief explanation of each. Step 7, follow-up. The sale does not end when the customer says yes. Follow-up is the post-sale contact where the salesperson ensures the customer is satisfied, addresses any problems, and strengthens the relationship for future business. Follow-up might involve a courtesy call to check that the product was delivered correctly and is working as expected. It might involve providing training or support. It might involve simply maintaining friendly contact so that when the customer needs to buy again, they think of you first. In modern relationship-based selling, the follow-up is considered as important as any other step, because a satisfied customer becomes a repeat customer and a referral source for new prospects. Memory anchor for the 7 steps: use the phrase "proper people always prefer happy customers forever." Proper equals prospecting. People equals pre-approach. Always equals approach. Prefer equals presentation. Happy equals handling objections. Customers equals closing. Forever equals follow-up. If the examiner asks you to describe the selling process, always present all 7 steps in order with brief explanations. Never list only 3 or 4. The examiner expects the complete sequence. Session 4, Block 3: Consumer Behavior and Buying Motives. Understanding why people buy is just as important as knowing how to sell. This block explores the psychological, social, and economic forces that drive buying decisions. Examinations frequently test this block with questions about buying motives, buying decisions, and the factors that influence consumer behavior. Consumer behavior, definition and scope. Consumer behavior refers to the study of how individuals, groups, and organizations select, purchase, use, and dispose of goods, services, ideas, or experiences to satisfy their needs and wants. For the salesperson, understanding consumer behavior means understanding what motivates a customer to buy, what barriers prevent them from buying, and what triggers move them from consideration to decision. This understanding allows the salesperson to tailor their approach, their language, and their timing to fit the specific psychological reality of each individual customer. Buying motives, definition and classification. A buying motive is the reason or drive that causes a person to make a purchase. Buying motives are classified into 2 broad categories: rational motives and emotional motives. Rational motives are based on logic, practicality, and measurable benefit. When a customer buys a fuel-efficient car because they calculate how much money they will save on petrol over 5 years, that is a rational motive. Examples of rational motives include economy, durability, efficiency, safety, and dependability. Emotional motives are based on feelings, desires, social pressure, and psychological needs rather than logical calculation. When someone buys an expensive watch not because they need to tell the time but because they want to feel prestigious and admired, that is an emotional motive. Examples of emotional motives include desire for status, fear, love, pride, desire for comfort, desire for social acceptance, and vanity. Rational motives appeal to the head. Emotional motives appeal to the heart. Most purchase decisions involve both. The skilled salesperson knows when to speak to the head and when to speak to the heart. Maslow's hierarchy of needs in selling. Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a foundational theory in consumer behavior and is highly testable in your examination. Maslow proposed that human needs are arranged in a pyramid of 5 levels, and that people are motivated to satisfy lower-level needs before they are motivated by higher-level ones. The first and most basic level is physiological needs. These are survival needs: food, water, shelter, sleep, and clothing. Products that satisfy physiological needs include basic food items, water purifiers, affordable housing, and basic clothing. The second level is safety needs. Once people are fed and sheltered, they want security and protection. Products that appeal to safety needs include insurance, security systems, savings accounts, and reliable vehicles. The third level is social needs, also called belongingness needs. Human beings are social creatures. We want love, friendship, belonging, and acceptance. Products that appeal to social needs include social media platforms, club memberships, communication devices, and fashion brands that signal group identity. The fourth level is esteem needs. People want to feel respected, valued, and recognized. Products that appeal to esteem needs include luxury brands, professional certifications, prestigious club memberships, and awards. The fifth and highest level is self-actualization. This is the desire to realize one's fullest potential, to achieve mastery, and to live with meaning and purpose. Products and services that appeal to self-actualization include advanced education, spiritual programs, creative tools, and personal development courses. Remember Maslow's pyramid with the phrase "please stay socializing every day somehow." Physiological, safety, social, esteem, self-actualization. Please stay socializing every day somehow. Exam tip: when explaining Maslow in an examination, always explain how the hierarchy is relevant to selling. Do not just list the 5 levels. Say specifically how a salesperson would appeal to each level. The examiner rewards applied understanding. Types of buying decisions. Not every purchase is the same. Consumer behaviorists identify 3 types of buying decisions based on how much effort and deliberation the buyer puts into the decision. Routine or habitual buying decisions involve products purchased regularly without significant thought. Buying milk, soap, or a newspaper involves minimal deliberation. The customer barely registers the decision as a decision at all. For these purchases, brand loyalty and habit dominate. Limited decision-making involves moderate deliberation. The customer is familiar with the product category but needs to compare a few options before choosing. Buying a new pair of shoes or choosing a restaurant involves this level of decision. Extensive decision-making involves significant research, comparison, deliberation, and often consultation with others. Buying a house, a car, a major appliance, or enrolling in a university program involves extensive decision-making. For these purchases, personal selling is most critical, because the customer needs detailed information, reassurance, and a trusted guide through the process. Factors influencing consumer behavior. Consumer behavior is influenced by a complex combination of factors. The examiner commonly asks about these factors in both short and long answer format. Cultural factors include the values, beliefs, customs, and norms of the society and community a person belongs to. What is considered appropriate, desirable, or prestigious varies significantly across cultures, and salespeople operating across cultural boundaries must understand these differences. Social factors include the influence of family, friends, colleagues, and social groups on purchasing decisions. The family is identified as the most influential social group. The reference group, meaning the group a person aspires to belong to or is compared with, is also a powerful influence. Personal factors include age, occupation, income, lifestyle, and personality. A 22-year-old student's buying behavior is fundamentally different from that of a 50-year-old executive, even if they are buying the same category of product. Psychological factors include perception, motivation, learning, beliefs, and attitudes. Perception shapes how a customer evaluates a product. Motivation determines the intensity of desire. Learning through past experience shapes expectations. Beliefs and attitudes create predispositions that salespeople must either work with or work to change. The four groups of influencing factors are cultural, social, personal, and psychological. Use the acronym CSPP. Cultural, social, personal, psychological. Say it, C. S. P. P. CSPP. Session 5, Block 4 Sales Communication and Presentation. Selling is fundamentally a communication activity. A salesperson who understands products perfectly but cannot communicate effectively is as limited as a car with no wheels. This block covers the principles of sales communication, the art of the sales presentation, and the skill of listening, all of which are examined regularly. Communication in sales, fundamentals. Communication is the process of transmitting information, ideas, emotions, or intentions from a sender to a receiver through a channel, and receiving a response or feedback. In selling, the salesperson is the sender, the customer is the receiver, and the conversation, written material, or demonstration is the channel. The communication process in selling has several components. The message is what the salesperson is conveying. The encoding is the language, tone, and words chosen to express the message. The channel is the medium through which it is sent. The decoding is how the customer interprets it. And feedback is the customer's response, whether verbal, nonverbal, or a buying decision. Effective sales communication requires that the salesperson minimize what communication theory calls noise. Noise is anything that disrupts or distorts the message. Noise can be literal, like background sound in a busy store. It can be psychological, like a customer who is distracted or emotionally upset. It can be semantic, like jargon that the customer does not understand. Good sales communication eliminates or reduces noise by using clear, simple, relevant language and by choosing the right moment and setting for important conversations. Verbal and nonverbal communication. Verbal communication in selling includes not just the words used, but also the tone of voice, the pace of speech, and the variation in pitch and emphasis. A monotone delivery of even an excellent presentation will put customers to sleep. Voice variety, strategic pauses, and tonal warmth are essential tools. Nonverbal communication is remarkably powerful. Research suggests that the majority of human communication is nonverbal. In sales, nonverbal signals include eye contact, which builds trust, posture, which signals confidence or uncertainty, hand gestures, which reinforce and emphasize points, facial expressions, which reveal genuine emotion, and physical proximity, which creates either intimacy or discomfort depending on cultural norms. The skilled salesperson reads the customer's nonverbal signals as carefully as their words. A customer who crosses their arms and leans back is signaling resistance. A customer who leans forward and makes eye contact is engaged and interested. These signals guide the salesperson's next move. Listening skills in selling. Active listening is one of the most undervalued and most essential skills in personal selling. Many salespeople are so focused on what they are about to say that they miss critical information the customer is communicating. Active listening means giving the speaker your complete, undivided attention. It means not interrupting. It means noting both the words and the emotions behind the words. It means asking clarifying questions to demonstrate that you understood. And it means summarizing back what you heard to confirm understanding. Customers reveal their needs, their objections, their priorities, and their readiness to buy through what they say. A salesperson who listens well extracts this information and uses it to tailor their offer precisely. This is why active listening is described as the secret weapon of the master salesperson. Exam question. Differentiate between active listening and passive listening. This appears frequently. Passive listening is simply hearing words without full attention or engagement. Active listening involves deliberate engagement, comprehension, response, and confirmation. Make this distinction explicit in your answer. The sales presentation, structure and strategy. A well-structured sales presentation follows a logical progression that moves the customer from unawareness to conviction. The examiner may ask you to outline the structure of an effective sales presentation. The opening of the presentation should capture attention and establish rapport. This might involve a compelling question, a relevant statistic, a story, or a demonstration. The opening sets the emotional tone for everything that follows. The body of the presentation should identify the customer's specific needs and then present the product's features in terms of how they address those needs. The key principle here is to focus on benefits rather than features. A feature is what the product has. A benefit is what the product does for the customer. For example, this laptop has a 12-hour battery life is a feature. This laptop means you can work through a full day of meetings without looking for a power socket is a benefit. The customer buys the benefit. The feature is simply the evidence that the benefit is real. Memory anchor, features are facts. Benefits are feelings. Sell the feeling, prove it with the fact. This is the triple F rule. Feature equals fact. Benefit equals feeling. Sell with feeling, support with fact. The close of the presentation should summarize the key benefits, address any remaining concerns, and invite the customer to make a decision. This is where the closing techniques we discussed earlier are applied. Objection handling in communication. We covered objection handling in the selling process section, but it is worth revisiting here from a communication perspective. When a customer raises an objection, they are communicating something important. They are saying either I do not fully understand the value, or I am not yet convinced this is right for me, or I have a genuine practical constraint. The communication-based approach to objections begins with empathy. Before responding to any objection, the skilled salesperson says something that acknowledges the customer's perspective. Something like I completely understand that consideration, or that is a really important question. This empathic acknowledgement disarms defensiveness and creates a collaborative rather than adversarial atmosphere for what follows. Session 6, Block 5 Sales Management and Professional Development. This block looks at selling from an organizational and management perspective, as well as at the ongoing development of the professional salesperson. These topics appear regularly in examinations, particularly as long answer questions. Sales management, definition and scope. Sales management is the function within an organization responsible for planning, organizing, directing, and controlling the personal selling activities of a business. It involves managing the sales force, setting sales targets, designing sales territories, training salespeople, and evaluating performance. The sales manager plays a critical dual role. On one hand, they are responsible to the organization for achieving revenue targets and managing costs. On the other hand, they are responsible to the sales team for providing leadership, coaching, support, and motivation. Functions of a sales manager. The examiner frequently asks about the functions of a sales manager. Here are the primary ones. Planning involves setting sales objectives, forecasting demand, designing sales strategies, and allocating budgets. A good sales manager does not simply react to market conditions. They anticipate them and prepare the team accordingly. Organizing involves structuring the sales force, defining territories, and assigning responsibilities in a way that maximizes coverage and efficiency. A sales territory is a defined geographic area or group of customers assigned to a specific salesperson. Directing involves leading the sales team on a day-to-day basis. This includes motivating salespeople, providing guidance, resolving conflicts, and ensuring that the team has the tools and information they need to do their work effectively. Controlling involves monitoring sales performance against targets, identifying gaps, and taking corrective action when performance falls short. Tools for control include sales reports, customer feedback, and performance reviews. Training and development is a function that recognizes that salesmanship is a skill that must be continuously developed. A good sales manager invests in training programs that keep the sales team up to date with product knowledge, market trends, and selling techniques. Sales management functions are PODCT. Planning, organizing, directing, controlling, training. Say it, PODCT. Planning, organizing, directing, controlling, training. Recruitment and selection of salespeople. Finding the right people for a sales role is one of the most consequential decisions a sales manager makes. A talented salesperson can dramatically increase revenue. A poor one can damage relationships with customers and destroy credibility. The recruitment process involves defining the job, identifying sources of candidates, and attracting applicants. Sources of sales recruits include university campuses, employment agencies, employee referrals, online job portals, and internal promotions. Selection involves evaluating candidates through applications, interviews, personality assessments, and sometimes role-play exercises that simulate a sales situation. The selection criteria should be based on the qualities we discussed earlier: knowledge, communication, empathy, perseverance, honesty, and enthusiasm. Training of salespeople. Sales training is a continuous investment, not a one-time event. The content of sales training typically covers product knowledge, company knowledge, competitor knowledge, sales techniques, customer knowledge, and communication skills. Training methods include classroom training, where trainees learn concepts and techniques in a structured environment. Field training, where a new salesperson accompanies an experienced one and observes real selling situations, is also essential. Role-play training allows salespeople to practice presentations and objection handling in a safe setting where mistakes are learning opportunities rather than lost sales. Sales compensation and motivation. How salespeople are paid significantly affects their motivation and performance. The three main compensation structures are straight salary, straight commission, and combination plans. A straight salary means the salesperson receives a fixed amount regardless of how much they sell. This provides financial security and allows for activities like relationship building and service that do not result in immediate sales. However, it offers little direct financial incentive to sell more. Straight commission means the salesperson earns a percentage of every sale they make. This creates powerful financial motivation to sell as much as possible. However, it also creates financial insecurity and can lead salespeople to prioritize short-term sales over long-term customer relationships. A combination plan, also called a salary plus commission plan, is the most common structure. The salesperson receives a base salary that provides security, plus a commission on sales that rewards performance. This balances security and incentive. Beyond financial compensation, sales managers use non-financial motivators including recognition awards, public acknowledgement of achievements, career advancement opportunities, and creating a positive and supportive team culture. Ethics in selling. Ethical behavior in selling means acting with honesty, integrity, and respect for the customer's interests, even when doing so might mean a smaller immediate sale. This topic is increasingly important in modern salesmanship theory and may appear in your examination. Unethical selling practices include misrepresenting the product's capabilities, concealing defects or limitations, using high-pressure tactics that exploit psychological vulnerabilities, making false promises about delivery or service, and targeting vulnerable customers with inappropriate products. Ethical selling, by contrast, involves full and honest disclosure, respect for the customer's autonomy to make an informed decision, selling what the customer genuinely needs rather than what generates the highest commission, and maintaining confidentiality about sensitive customer information. The business case for ethical selling is powerful. Companies that sell ethically build stronger reputations, retain customers longer, receive more referrals, and face lower legal and regulatory risk. Ethics is not just the right thing to do. It is also the strategically smart thing to do. Session 7, Additional High-Yield Topics and Concepts. Relationship Selling vs. Transactional Selling. Modern salesmanship theory distinguishes between transactional selling and relationship selling. This contrast is an examiner favorite. Transactional selling focuses on completing individual sales as efficiently as possible. The salesperson's primary goal is to close the deal. The customer is viewed as a source of revenue for this specific transaction. Once the sale is made, the relationship typically ends. Relationship selling focuses on building long-term partnerships with customers based on trust, understanding, and mutual benefit. The salesperson invests time in understanding the customer's business or personal situation deeply, so that they can provide genuine value over many transactions across many years. The customer is viewed as a partner rather than a revenue target. The shift from transactional to relationship selling is one of the most significant developments in modern salesmanship. In markets where products are similar and prices are competitive, the relationship itself becomes the differentiating factor. Customers stay with salespeople they trust. The consultative selling approach. Consultative selling is an approach where the salesperson acts as a consultant or advisor rather than simply a product pusher. The consultative salesperson diagnoses the customer's problem first, before prescribing a solution. This approach involves asking deep, thoughtful questions to understand the customer's situation, needs, constraints, and goals. It involves listening far more than talking. And it involves recommending only what genuinely fits, even if that means recommending a lower cost option or, in some cases, acknowledging that your product is not the right fit at all. Counterintuitively, a salesperson who admits their product is not the right fit for a particular customer in a particular situation builds more trust and credibility than one who tries to sell something unsuitable. That trust is what brings the customer back when they do have a need your product can meet. Telemarketing and digital selling. While the traditional image of personal selling is face-to-face, personal selling today takes many forms. Telemarketing involves personal selling over the telephone. It retains the two-way, real-time, personalized nature of selling while eliminating the need for physical presence. Digital selling includes email-based selling, social media selling, video conferencing-based selling, and selling through digital platforms. The principles of personal selling, including rapport building, need identification, presentation, objection handling, and closing, remain the same regardless of the medium. What changes is the channel. Sales forecasting. Sales forecasting is the process of estimating future sales for a specified time period. Accurate sales forecasts allow organizations to plan production, manage inventory, set budgets, and allocate resources efficiently. Methods of sales forecasting include the jury of executive opinion method, where senior managers collectively estimate future sales based on their experience and knowledge of the market. The Salesforce composite method involves aggregating the estimates of individual salespeople, who are often the most accurate forecasters because they know their customers best. The survey of buyers' intentions method involves asking a sample of customers about their purchasing plans. Statistical methods apply mathematical models to historical sales data to project future trends. Sales territory management. A sales territory is a defined group of customers or a geographic area assigned to a salesperson or team. Effective territory management ensures that customers are covered adequately, that travel time is minimized, and that salespeople are not competing with each other for the same customers. Territories can be defined geographically, by industry, by product line, or by customer size. The design of territories significantly affects both salesperson efficiency and customer satisfaction. A territory that is too large means customers receive infrequent contact. A territory that is too small means the salesperson has insufficient opportunity to meet revenue targets. Session 8. Model examination questions and complete model answers. We are now going to go through the most likely examination questions and complete model answers. Listen to these carefully and notice the structure. The opening sentence restates the question in your own words. The body develops the answer with clear, organized points. The conclusion ties the answer together. This three-part structure earns marks in every Indian university examination. Long answer. Question 1. Define personal selling. Explain its importance in modern marketing. Model answer. Personal selling is a form of direct communication between a seller and a buyer where the seller makes an oral presentation aimed at persuading the buyer to purchase a product or service. According to the American Marketing Association, personal selling is defined as the oral presentation of a product or service in a conversation with one or more prospective purchasers for the purpose of making a sale. Personal selling occupies a position of great importance in modern marketing for several reasons. First, it is the only element of the marketing mix that allows for real-time, two-way communication with an individual buyer. This direct interaction enables the salesperson to identify the customer's specific needs, address their specific objections, and tailor the presentation to their unique situation, something no other marketing tool can do. Second, personal selling is indispensable for complex or high-value products. Products such as industrial machinery, insurance policies, financial instruments, and real estate require detailed explanation, trust, and personalized guidance. These cannot be sold effectively through advertising alone. Personal selling provides the human presence that converts information into conviction. Third, personal selling generates immediate feedback. A salesperson knows instantly whether the customer is interested, confused, or resistant, and can adjust accordingly. This real-time responsiveness makes personal selling uniquely adaptive. Fourth, personal selling builds long-term customer relationships. Unlike advertising, which is transactional and impersonal, personal selling creates human bonds. A trusted salesperson becomes a long-term partner, generating repeat business and referrals that are the foundation of sustainable revenue. In conclusion, while personal selling is the most expensive element of the promotional mix per contact, it is also the most powerful. Its ability to personalize, adapt, persuade, and build relationships makes it an irreplaceable component of any comprehensive marketing strategy. Long answer. Question 2. Explain the steps in the selling process. Model answer. The selling process is a systematic sequence of steps that a professional salesperson follows from the identification of a potential customer to the completion of the sale and beyond. It consists of 7 stages, each of which plays a distinct and essential role in achieving a successful outcome. The first step is prospecting, which involves identifying potential customers who have the need, the financial ability, and the authority to purchase the product. Effective prospecting methods include referrals from existing customers, cold calling, networking, and digital prospecting through social media platforms. The second step is the pre-approach, in which the salesperson gathers information about the prospect before the first meeting. This preparation includes understanding the prospect's background, anticipating their needs and questions, and planning the opening of the conversation. The third step is the approach, which is the salesperson's first direct contact with the prospect. Common approaches include the product approach, the benefit approach, the referral approach, and the question approach. The approach should create a positive first impression and establish rapport. The fourth step is the presentation and demonstration, where the salesperson presents the product in a way that connects its features to the prospect's specific needs. Effective presentations follow the IGNOU model: attention, interest, desire, and action. The fifth step is handling objections. Objections are concerns or hesitations expressed by the prospect. The professional salesperson listens to each objection completely, acknowledges it, clarifies the underlying concern, responds with accurate information, and confirms that the concern has been addressed. The sixth step is closing, where the salesperson asks the prospect to make a purchase decision. Common closing techniques include the trial close, the assumptive close, the summary close, and the urgency close. The salesperson should close when buying signals indicate readiness. The seventh step is follow-up, in which the salesperson maintains contact with the customer after the sale to ensure satisfaction, resolve any problems, and strengthen the relationship for future business. In conclusion, the selling process is not a rigid formula but a flexible framework. The skilled salesperson moves through these steps fluidly, adapting to the pace and needs of each individual customer. Short answer. Question: what are buying motives? Explain with examples. Model answer. Buying motives are the reasons, drives, or impulses that cause a person to make a purchase decision. They represent the underlying psychology behind consumer behavior. Buying motives are broadly classified into 2 categories: rational motives and emotional motives. Rational motives are based on logical reasoning and measurable benefit. Examples include purchasing a product because it is cost-effective, durable, safe, or efficient. A customer who buys a solar water heater because it will save money on electricity over 10 years is acting on a rational motive. Emotional motives are based on feelings, desires, and social influences rather than logical calculation. Examples include purchasing a product out of desire for social status, fear, love, pride, or a need for belonging. A customer who buys a luxury brand smartphone primarily to impress their social circle is acting on an emotional motive. Most purchase decisions involve a combination of both rational and emotional motives. The skilled salesperson identifies which type of motive is dominant for a particular customer and tailors their presentation accordingly, speaking to logic when the motive is rational and to feeling when the motive is emotional. Short answer question: explain the IGNOU model. Model answer. The IGNOU model is a widely used framework in sales and marketing that describes the 4 stages a customer moves through before making a purchase decision. IGNOU stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. The first stage is attention. The salesperson or marketing message must first capture the customer's attention in a crowded and distracted environment. This might be achieved through a striking demonstration, a compelling question, or a surprising statistic. The second stage is interest. Once attention is captured, it must be sustained and converted into genuine interest in the product. The salesperson does this by connecting the product to the customer's specific needs and showing that it addresses a real concern in their life. The third stage is desire. Interest must be elevated into an emotional desire to own or experience the product. This is where demonstrations, testimonials from other satisfied customers, and vivid benefit descriptions are particularly powerful. The fourth stage is action. This is the purchase decision itself. The salesperson prompts action through effective closing techniques, making it easy for the customer to say yes and removing any final barriers to commitment. The IGNOU model is valuable because it gives the salesperson a diagnostic framework. At any point in a presentation, the salesperson can identify which stage they are in and what needs to happen next. Final War Room Revision Session, Last Hour Examination Preparation. Welcome to the War Room, Pastor Philemon. If you are listening to this, the examination is close. Maybe it is tomorrow. Maybe it is in a few hours. Let me tell you something true before we begin. You have already done the work. What we are doing right now is not learning. It is retrieval. We are pulling forward everything that is already inside you and placing it at the front of your mind, ready to be deployed the moment you sit down in that examination hall. Let us move through this quickly, confidently, and with total precision. Rapid fire, core definitions. Personal selling, the oral presentation of a product or service in a conversation with one or more prospective purchasers for the purpose of making a sale. Salesmanship, the ability to persuade people to buy goods and services at a profit to the seller and with benefit to the buyer. Consumer behavior, the study of how individuals, groups, and organizations select, purchase, use, and dispose of goods, services, ideas, or experiences to satisfy needs and wants. Buying motive, the reason or drive that causes a person to make a purchase. Sales management, the function responsible for planning, organizing, directing, and controlling the personal selling activities of an organization. Prospecting, the process of identifying potential customers who have the need, financial ability, and authority to buy. Objection, a concern, hesitation, or reason given by a prospect for not proceeding with a purchase. Rapid fire, memory anchors review. 5 qualities of a salesperson, KCEPHE knowledge. Communication. Empathy. Perseverance. Honesty. Enthusiasm. 5 characteristics of personal selling using your fingers, two-way. Direct. Flexible. Immediate. Relationship. 7 steps of the selling process. Proper people always prefer happy customers forever. Prospecting. Pre-approach. Approach. Presentation. Handling objections. Closing. Follow-up. IGNOU, attention. Interest. Desire. Action. Think of the opera. Maslow's pyramid, please stay socializing every day somehow. Physiological. Safety. Social. Esteem. Self-actualization. Consumer behavior factors, CSPP. Cultural. Social. Personal. Psychological. Objection handling, Lackirk. Listen. Acknowledge. Clarify. Respond. Confirm. Sales management functions, PODCT. Planning. Organizing. Directing. Controlling. Training. Features and benefits, features are facts. Benefits are feelings. Sell with feeling, prove with fact. Triple F rule. Rapid fire, key distinctions to know. Personal selling versus advertising. Personal selling is one-to-one and two-way. Advertising is one-to-many and one-way. Rational motive versus emotional motive. Rational appeals to the head with logic. Emotional appeals to the heart with feeling. Feature versus benefit. A feature is what the product has. A benefit is what it does for the customer. Transactional selling versus relationship selling. Transactional focuses on one sale. Relationship focuses on long-term partnership. Active listening versus passive listening. Active involves full engagement, comprehension, and confirmation. Passive is simply hearing without engagement. Straight salary versus commission. Salary provides security but low incentive. Commission provides high incentive but low security. Combination provides both. Art versus science of salesmanship. Art is the human, intuitive, empathic dimension. Science is the systematic, learnable, repeatable dimension. Examination strategy, last instructions. When you sit down, read the entire question paper before writing a single word. Identify the questions you know best and answer those first. This builds momentum and confidence. For every long answer, follow this three-part structure. Open by restating the question in your own words and providing a key definition. Develop the body with organized points, each explained in at least 2 sentences. Close with a clear summarizing statement that draws the answer to a confident conclusion. When you write a definition, write it clearly and completely. Do not abbreviate. Do not leave it to the examiner to infer what you mean. State it fully. When you explain a process like the selling process or the IGNOU model, always present the steps in order. The examiner is checking whether you know the sequence, not just the individual parts. When you explain buying motives or consumer behavior factors, always give examples. Examples turn abstract knowledge into demonstrated understanding, and demonstrating understanding is what earns marks beyond the basics. Write confidently. You know this material. You have listened to it, absorbed it, and rehearsed it. Walk into that examination hall with the knowledge that you have prepared with intelligence and effort. And then go and show the examiner what you know. Q&A Question 1, Personal selling versus promotion mix. Personal selling is a direct, two-way communication channel, distinct from the broader promotion mix. While advertising uses a megaphone approach to reach masses, and sales promotion uses short-term incentives like coupons, personal selling is a precision instrument. For example, a car company runs TV ads to build brand awareness, but a showroom executive uses personal selling to explain specific financing options and safety features to a potential buyer. Question 2. The personal selling process. Master these 7 steps: prospecting, pre-approach, approach, presentation and demonstration, handling objections, closing, and follow-up. When selling an industrial product like a generator, spend the most time on pre-approach studying the factory's power needs. When selling a service like life insurance, focus deeply on handling objections regarding long-term financial security. Question 3, Qualities of an effective salesperson. Success is built on a foundation of empathy, integrity, and deep product knowledge. You aren't just selling, you are solving. An effective salesperson builds long-term relationships by prioritizing the customer's needs over a quick commission. This creates trust, which ensures repeat business. Question 4, Role of sales management. A sales manager acts as the team's anchor. Their 4 key pillars are: planning, setting territory goals; organizing, structuring the team; directing, providing training and motivation; controlling, evaluating performance against targets. Question 5, Redesigning for declining sales. If sales are declining due to competition, shift the focus, motivation, introduce spot bonuses or sales contests. Compensation, move from a flat salary to a performance-based model with a commission for new customer acquisition. Recognition like Top Performer of the Month can also boost morale significantly. Question 6, Sales forecasting. Forecasting is the art of predicting future sales. 2 common methods: market survey, asking potential customers about their buying intentions; jury of executive opinion, gathering the expertise of senior managers to estimate trends. Question 7, Recruiting and selecting. The process includes job analysis, sourcing candidates, interviewing, and final selection based on aptitude and attitude tests. Focus on matching candidates to the company's specific culture. Question 8, Selling versus marketing. Selling focuses on the needs of the seller moving products for cash. Marketing focuses on the needs of the buyer creating value for the customer. In modern personal selling, you must adopt a marketing mindset to succeed. Question 9, Sales training methods. Training can be on-the-job mentoring by a senior or off-the-job workshops and role-playing. Effective training keeps the team updated on product features and emotional intelligence techniques. Question 10, Overcoming closing failures. If you can't close, you may be missing buying signals or failing to address hidden objections. Use the assumptive close acting as if the sale is already done or the summary close reiterating the value you've discussed. Question 11, Short notes. A role of sales ethics. Ethical selling is about transparency. Never lie about features or pressure vulnerable clients. It is the key to brand reputation. Be CRM in selling. CRM is about managing the after-sale. Keeping in touch with clients ensures they become brand advocates. Question 12, Differentiate. A personal selling versus advertising. Selling is two-way and personalized, advertising is one-way and mass market. Be sales quota versus target. A target is the company's overall goal, a quota is the specific portion of that goal assigned to an individual salesperson. Final strategic review for personal selling and salesmanship. 1. The human-centric approach. Always remember that your examiner is looking for evidence of solution selling. Whether a question asks about ethics, closing techniques, or buyer behavior, frame your answer around the idea that the salesperson is a professional consultant rather than just an order taker. 2. Handling the long answer structure. For any 20-mark question, follow this 3-part structure to maximize your score. The foundation, define the core concept clearly in the first paragraph. The body, use bullet points for the main arguments, and for every point, add a brief, real-world for example. E.g. selling insurance, retail electronics, or B2B machinery. The conclusion, Summarize how the concept contributes to the overall success of the firm or the satisfaction of the customer. 3 essential keywords for high marks. Ensure your written responses include these specific terms, as examiners prioritize them: prospecting, the lifeblood of the sales process; qualifying, ensuring the lead has the money, authority, and need; objection handling, viewing objections as opportunities for further explanation, not as rejections; buyer motives, differentiating between rational utility-based and emotional status affection-based drives; post-sale follow-up, the critical step for long-term customer retention and loyalty. 4 visualizing your answers. If a question allows, draw a simple flow chart. For example, the selling cycle, a circle or steps: prospecting /right arrow, pre-approach /right arrow, approach /right arrow, presentation /right arrow, objections /right arrow, close /right arrow, follow-up. Buyer behavior factors, a simple star diagram showing cultural, social, personal, and psychological factors all influencing the buyer in the center. 5 final examination mindset. You are studying to become a professional in a field where communication is the primary tool. As you write your exam, imagine you are explaining these concepts to a new recruit in your own business. Clarity, confidence, and practical examples are the 3 keys to securing top grades. You have now completed your comprehensive review. You are ready to tackle the exam with a structured, professional, and practical understanding of personal selling and salesmanship. Good luck with your studies and your upcoming examination. You have now covered all the critical components of the 2026 BCOS-186, Personal Selling and Salesmanship.